Hi, team. Welcome to 10 Talks. Today's conversation is all about peak performance with nutrition. So we know that we are committed to really the mind, the body, the spirit, and really living a life that's all about winning according to our definition. And so peak performance for us is doing our best every day, getting a better version of us, really committed to that learning and all aspects of just becoming a better version. So let's add nutrition to get in and really work from the inside out. So our guest today is Caio from, well, let's say, where are you from?
I'm from Brazil originally. My city is called Recife, north of Brazil.
So team, we have such a treat. The reason I wasn't sure where he's from is he's all over. He's traveling, he's working with teams and clients. So wasn't even sure where he was located at this point. So we're going to start with the power of story. So we would love to hear your story and why nutrition matters to you.
Yeah, that's such a great topic for me just because it has been involved in my life for a very long time. Um, my mom got diagnosed with a pretty strong kidney disease when I was about 13 years old. And me and my brother had to get all these exams to see if we had inherited that condition. And it ended up that we did in different ways, but we did. From that day on, I was on medication to control my blood pressure so my kidneys wouldn't be overwhelmed. For the next 2 years, I saw my mom go through a bunch of difficult things, such as dialysis and transplant and the removal of one kidney. So, as a teenager growing up, that was such an impact on me. And from there on, I started having my own challenges with I would say nutrition, but health overall, just because I got diagnosed with anemia growing up playing as a volleyball player. So you can imagine athletes can have problems as well. And my mom was always so into the nutrition thing. And she was asking me when I was away, like, what did you eat for breakfast? What did you have for lunch? And trying to get me into being more conscious about my choices and making sure that I was good to play a sport. Because in her head, as she tells me, it's like, all right, you're doing more than a regular person. You are exercising hard, you are going for it. So you need to be fueled. She just didn't know really the ins and outs of how to fuel an athlete, a young athlete. So with time, I started learning a few things and coming over some challenges, going through some doctors to understand how to overcome these problems. Until I got to college, I heard a speech on food and nutrition for athletes, and that really hit home for me. And from there on, I could not rest until I was like learning how to fuel myself and understand myself better and make nutrition a priority in my life. So I think that the struggles as a teenager brought me to where I am today.
So currently you are a professional volleyball player. You're working with athletes. Take us through a bit of your story from college to now.
Yeah, so in college, I went to college at Park University in Kansas City, or Parkville, which is north of Kansas City on the Missouri side. And there I had my challenge as well, but everything went pretty well. I became a national champion with them. I became
Can we
national
just
player
have
of
a moment and celebrate that? Let's see your victory dance for that. Yeah, we want to
Hey.
celebrate. There we go. Good job. Okay. We're not going to let just national champion go by casually.
Yeah, those are some highlights of my college stories and all the challenges there as well. And my senior year, I got to be named National Player of the Year. So I attribute that to all my efforts when it comes to, working out, practicing pretty hard, and being consistent with it, and my nutrition for sure. And after college, I put myself through some tests and challenges when it comes to really understand me as a person and like how can I better myself. It was like a little download on me that said you gotta figure this out, and it's now is the time. So I started trying things here and there to see what could impact me positively the most. And when I started doing that, I started learning so much about health and nutrition that I started having my own success and failures with it. And I'm like, okay, I can use this for something else, you know? So I went through a health coaching certification with IIN, and just this year I finished a sports nutritionist accreditation with a company in Australia, SNA, and yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I coach some young and youth volleyball players, college volleyball players, and a few pros, and it's been a magical time for me. I also help some of the general population people, some of my close friends, and some other people. So I am trying to get my hands a little bit of everything I can when people ask me for help, so I can learn more and keep improving my skills as a sports nutritionist.
Well, we're very grateful for you and your story and just your commitment to live it to give it. That is very much what our brand is all about. We are committed to us being our first client and us really just figuring it out. And also the power of team, really connecting with the people that are on purpose with us, on the same mission, really committed to peak performance. So a shout out to Brittany, one of our teammates who introduced us. And we believe so much exactly, and we're so grateful for the ability to meet amazing teammates and to bring them on our team and to really have them join our peak performance team, so all of our clients have access to really the best, and we're grateful for that. And so let's talk about what you've learned from a sports nutrition perspective. I really want to go with the basics for that person that is committed exactly like you to being a top athlete. You've got coaches on the court or on the field that are helping you with all of those details. We do have great nutritionalists that are working inside a lot of the programs. Let's talk about me. Let's talk about what can I own? What choices can I make? And also, how can I really receive the help that I'm getting from a nutritionist or a coach or whoever is helping me to peak perform?
So I believe that people want to become more conscious about their choices, and that goes in different ways for different ages in a time of life, right? So for me, as a 33-year-old, I still want to perform, be able to go out there and play sports. You know, I'm still very active. I just want to make sure that I'm feeling really well, I'm making the right choices, so I'm not facing healthy issues. I'm decreasing the amount of times that I get sick throughout the year, because to me, consistency is key, right? So if I'm not missing out on work or events, I'm being more seen, I'm staying more involved, and I'm more relevant. And to me, that's really important. So let's say in your case, if you tell me, Caio, I really want to get more active, I want to have more energy, I want to go out there and do more things that I've been doing lately, and I would just probably prepare a plan for you where you are eating more of the foods that really fill you. I would fill you, and I would help you understand what is your bio individuality, what really works for you that might not work for me, because we're in different times of life. You know, you're a woman, I'm a man, and there are different things going on. So I think going into the specifics and helping you understand yourself and what's working for you, that's what allow you to go ahead in life and make decisions on your own, and not just depending on my opinion to do things. You know, so I help to empower people, whoever come my way, so when they're out there, they're also being able to help their family members, their friends, and they're getting the best out of life.
Well, let's start with some fundamentals of education. And as soon as we learn really the specifics, I value so much that personalized component. So I want to talk about how do we really respect our differences. There's so much information on the internet, on Instagram, so many, do this, do that. We can just, get sucked into really doing all of that. How do we get empowered through education to really own our own system and what works for us?
So I believe that always a little bit of research will never kill anybody. Too much is just, it's brain obesity, and you don't get to decide what you want to take action on. So you ended up not doing much. And I believe that when we come to the basics of things, it's making sure we are implementing into our life a lot of whole foods. We all know that those are good for us, right? And I want to say this, that doesn't mean I cannot have a pizza on my weekends or a burger or some of the meals that I grew up eating, from Brazil or you from back home. And those things kind of fuel our soul as well. But I do believe that making sure we are hydrating while we are eating the whole foods, we are getting the sunlight. I think those three things are the very basics for us to make sure we are getting to the healthy standards of feeling good, and being able to be active in life. So to me, those three are the main basics. Yeah.
So fabulous, 3 winning strategies. Let's talk performance barriers. So
Yes.
performance barriers are barriers that get in the way of us being able to be who we want to be, whoever we want to be, and do whatever we want to do. So performance barriers can be comfort foods, it can be fear of failure, it could be just starting a new habit. There's so much that happens when we enter into that change model. So, what are some performance barriers that you've encountered with yourself and your clients and their actions to change?
Okay. I do think that one of the major skills that I try to get to my clients is really to be intentional about what the results they want. Okay, do you want something? Yes. What are the steps to get there, right? So if you're being very intentional, and that sometimes doesn't even relate to food, but like your mental part, right? So if you're being intentional about every single step that you want to take to get to that results, I think that's a big way of achieving those changes. It doesn't mean you have to be perfect.
Mm,
It just means you are in a line. If you deviate from that line, make sure you are able to get back quick.
mm,
A lot of people, they go to a wedding, they go to an event that they see themselves consuming a little more alcohol or eating a little bit extra, and they think that's the end of it, the end of their diet or the end of their process. No, 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 no. There's always the next day. And that's your opportunity to get back in line, so you were able to keep improving and getting things right in a way. So intention to me, it's a big part of how we do things and how we achieve improvement. Yeah.
Well, what's beautiful about being intentional with our choices is very much, again, our desire to really be intentional about what goes into our mind. What's our mindset? How are we holding the information? Our bodies, we're talking from a nutritional perspective, what we're putting in our bodies and how we're living our life. They're all so connected. And so, really being able to honor that. So, when I have the desired outcome of being intentional and it's not working for me. Like I'm tempted, I have cravings, I get, from a mood perspective, some foods make me feel better. What's happening?
Well, I just believe it's like the deep rooted ways of living maybe in the past, right? And it doesn't mean like you gotta get away, you gotta just put it out of yourself. It's probably part of who you are. We always can find ways to counterattack those things. So for example, let's say yesterday I went out to a social event and I had more pasta than I should, or I drank more wine than I should. What can I do to make sure I'm still smooth in my process is maybe this morning having a little more water, or having a cup of tea that I know is so good for me, or having a little bit of fruit before I get into my main um, breakfast meal. So there's always a few things that we can do that will not totally cancel
Mhm.
our cravings activities, or whenever we go out in social events and all that, but it will soothe your way into back into your routine and in your process of getting good. When you talk about cravings, it's so good because I think of this. um when we have our cravings, let's say I eat a lot of ice cream, and the more I eat ice cream, the more I'm gonna crave ice cream,
Mhm.
right? So when we counterattack with this little different ways, or we have strategies to counterattack, I will kind of just lower the volume on that desire of keep eating those things and just binge eating on things that will not help me in the process, you know. And again, it is it is not prohibited. It's not a bad thing for you to have the things you love, you know. So
So what is a winning strategy to really help? We all know sugar isn't good for us, ice cream, all those things that are really yummy and that we love. Having the opportunity to understand new thinking about it, get some new skills so that we actually have the new hope to really be able to change.
okay, so I would say a rule of thumb would be considering a 80-20% rule. That's what we talk about in nutrition and health as well, which is you want to eat 80% whole foods, lean proteins, and whole foods include whole grains, nuts and seeds, legumes, beans, lean meats, and stay hydrated. The other 20%, if you are a little bit able to plan yourself, the other 20% is for the stuff that you really, okay, I love this. That doesn't mean you can love the 80%. You should make the 80% really attractive and good, and you can. But there will be times where you want to use that 20% because you want to be out there socializing. Maybe you want to have a glass of wine or a beer, or you want to have the burger or the cake. So I think that when you think about skills, I think that's the best thing we can talk about because just make sure to balance things out. And this is, if you do a 50-50, it will be okay. Now, when you get closer to the 80-20, that's when you're like really close to being your best healthy person to go out and like achieve whatever you want and have more energy and be able to stay active, you know.
So from a hydration perspective, what's the right way to hydrate and the right amount?
Okay, that I do think that depends on how active you are, but I would say between 2 to 3 liters of water per day. I would not lie, I do not really know the amount of liters in ounces in this amount, but between 2 to 3 liters of water per day is fine. Now, we also need to take in consideration that a lot of the foods that we eat, they have hydration. So we should be eating our water as well, which comes from watermelons, cucumbers, and like a bunch of vegetables and fruits and all types of foods that just hydrates us naturally. And all the hydration also comes with vitamins and minerals. So those are really helpful as well. So when it comes to drinking water, I would say 2 liters would be a very normal perspective there for that.
And what really takes away from our dehydration or what makes us dehydrated?
So I believe that, of course, the weather right now, California is pretty hot, so we gotta stay hydrated. I think that when we just get to do a lot of exercising, right? We are sweating, and with this sweat, there is a lot of minerals coming out of us. We need to be replenishing that in a way that is efficient for our body. So not straight water sometimes might not be what is just necessary. You might need to get some electrolytes in you, stuff that comes with a few more minerals that will help your body really hydrate. So I would say that hydration comes to that. Like, in what type of weather are you working, right? And are you working out or training a lot in a setting that you are sweating a lot? Because maybe you're not, maybe you are. So when it comes to those two, let's say I'm working out open air here in San Diego right now, 86 degrees, for sure I'm gonna sweat a lot. So I need to make sure that those 2 liters of water per day might have to be increased to 3 with some electrolytes. So I'm replenishing that.
And is drinking alcohol or are there certain things that we can drink that actually dehydrate us?
Absolutely. Yes. Alcohol for sure being one of them. There are a lot of studies out there that show whatever alcohol would do to athletic performance or just to the human body, right? And there is also studies saying some benefits about alcohol. So people who like alcohol, they just grab the benefits and they go with it. But it's not really like that. Yeah. So alcohol will have some effects on our brain, will have some effects on our organs. So we need to make sure when we decide to have alcohol in these social events, whatever it is, we couple that with a little bit of water. So as we do it, we're not dehydrating severely.
So we've got ourselves set up to really think properly about this. And when we say that, it's about being intentional, which is a great gift. What have been some of your most kind of aha moments, the biggest breakthroughs that you've had from nutrition? Because we hear so much information about it, and this is your life and your story. And what are some big moments that have happened for you?
My aha moment was really when I was going through all this information online and through books and through all that and doing my tests. And I really understood that it was about me as an individual. I really understood that. That came such a deep knowledge for me. I was like, okay, like I don't have to be like this guy. I don't have to be like that gal. I can grab a few information from each of these people. They have their own experiences in that work of field. So, for example, let's say I'm trying a keto diet, which I don't. That's not my favorite at all. So I would say I would study somebody who is really good at it, and I would see what are the topics on keto diets that would impact me the most or that caught my eyes and caught my attention. And then I would give it a test. I would put it in my lifestyle to try to make a change and see how that works for me. So when I went through all those tests, I kind of got a great sense of how I could be tuned in into like what I needed as far as nutrition for me to be good for myself, not for any diets out there or any ideals, just like let me get this information, see what works, see what doesn't, and then I'll make the best for it from me.
So, what are some typical things when we start to try out different diets or different lifestyles? I'm really not a diet fan, so mainly lifestyles. When we're trying all these new things, what are we looking for? Because if we're not very healthy, or if we have patterns or habits from nutrition, all of a sudden when we try something new, it usually is not going to feel right, whether it's healthy or not. Just from a habit perspective, I'm going to think it doesn't really feel right to me. So let's get some new thinking on what is kind of the right thing that I'm looking for. What am I looking for from a feeling perspective?
That's a great question. So it's that tune in part that I just talked about when we start developing this skill of bio individuality and understanding ourselves is just really the good feelings. Like you get these messages from your gut that is like, "Whoop, that thing was right. That meal was perfect. I feel amazing right after it, right? Like 1 hour, 2 hours after it, let's say after a big lunch or like a good lunch and you're not having that dip in energy that you just like, oh my God, I really need a nap right now. What's going on? So that means whatever you ate in the meal, if you're feeling energetic, that's something good you just ate for yourself. Also, when you go to bed, and you pass out in like 30 seconds, 1 minute, you're like, okay, I did something right today when it comes to my nutrition. There's also other, I think, habits that go into that on how like sleep hygiene and all the things that we can do when it comes to sleeping. But if we're being able to lay in bed and get to sleep quickly, I think that's a good sign for also understanding if we are doing good. And that is also the on the bad side of things, it's all the immune responses that you could have. A runny nose, or just a lot of acne on your face or on your back or something like that. So your body will give you like all these signs, right? And people think like that they gotta get like a huge sign, like a cancer or something like that. But no, if you tune in to your body, it will give you subtle, very subtle signs that you can pick up on. And then if you go back and think, oh, I just had that type of food, maybe that's not the best for me. I had, I don't know, deep fried whatever. Maybe those oils that were there, they're not for me. Maybe next time I'll make that home with a better ingredients and let's see if that still works. So the subtle, very subtle signs, that's what we should be listening to, listening So we're able to move on from those and learn if they're good or they're not so good for us.
So this is an introduction. We're just getting started to this. When we go out to eat, what are some winning strategies for meals that are already prepared for us that we can make sure when we leave, we feel good?
So let's say we're going out, everybody just schedule something at a burger place, right? And I am on a run to try to lose some weight. So I'm gonna choose my favorite burger. However, when it comes to the size, do I need to have fries? That's a like a very simple example, but maybe I'll get a salad or just regular potatoes or something else that will lower my calorie intake, depending on my process. If I'm trying to lose weight or not, I'm just using losing weight as an example because I know a lot of people would like to lose weight. So depending on our goals, there's just little adjustments. You don't have to give up. You don't have to go to a steakhouse and just eat greens. So depending on our goals, there's just a little adjustments that we can make. A few things that we might say no to or substitute for something else that might keep us straight, and you won't have that weight on your back later on, like, oh my god, I ate so much, that's not really into my diet, what's going on.
Once we get started on going out to restaurants and making good choices, we also have that when we travel as athletes and on teams. We have all these meals that are happening and we're playing so hard and working out so hard and we're so hungry. What are some winning strategies for really managing food throughout the day for peak performance?
Okay, great question. So I'm working with Brittany on that right now. She's been in and out of the States, into Puerto Rico, into Turkey, in many places. And we have been really figuring out what works for her. I think one of the best things is, first, you need to be a planner when you travel a lot. And if you want to stay consistent with your process on whatever it is that you're doing with your nutrition, you gotta make sure that you maybe bring some snacks with you that makes you feel good, that you know are those good snacks for yourself. You also have the same strategy when it comes to choices. I'm not gonna go to Italy and not eat their best croissants. I'm gonna do that, but maybe next meal I will couple my protein with a nice salad. I will avoid alcohol. So really, like, balancing out these things, it's so important in a way that people are able to stay at peak performance, people are able to stay energetic, and just going out and eating everything they see, they look delicious, doesn't weigh them down for the next days of competition or trying to be active. So an example of that for like a general population would be like we're going on vacation. Let's say we're going on vacation to, I don't know, Bali in Indonesia. And I get there, I really want to make sure that I take the most advantage out of my time there, right? So eating well on the first days of arriving on my trip, it would be really crucial for you to be able to enjoy all that. So you're not feeling either sick because you're in a new place and those foods are a little weird to your gut, or you're not feeling low energy to go do all the activities that you do. So there's always a balance you can maintain in a way that will help you to stay good, to feel well, to be able to still enjoy the foods that you want to try. It's just a matter of balance.
And what are some great healthy snacks?
For people who like athletes, for example, I think I would say beef jerky would be something easy to take that doesn't take much space. I would say a protein powder that you can take with you. Um, in this case, we get into more packaged foods, right? Because we're not going to just bring a lot of fruits into the plane because they will go bad. So whatever packaged foods that you see that is less processed, I think would be the way to go there. I would also bring some vitamin D with me, which would be good. So if you travel far, like I do sometimes, I spend a whole day, just traveling in airports. So vitamin D, because I'm not getting all that sun that day or not being able to eat as I normally eat. I think vitamin D is a great supplement for those days. And I truly believe that having some green powders have helped me a lot. When it comes also to time change, green powders just help my clock reset quicker to the new place that I'm in. So I take more advantage of those days. I'm performing better, high energy and all that.
Well, I love the thought of being very intentional, making sure that I'm having great snacks, I'm planning ahead. Well, how often should I eat? Is there a right or a wrong with that?
It really depends on you, on your goals, on performance, right? So when it comes to athletes, we sometimes we even say, depending on the demand of physical activity of that athlete, having a protein meal every 3 hours would be important, or a protein portion, let's say. It gets difficult to do that, of course, because eating every 3 hours is not that easy. However, that would fuel an athlete very well. For general population person that just working my computer and doing the regular things, I think 3 to 4 times a day, if you're trying to maintain a high level of energy, is really important. And also, we will come to what are you eating in those meals, right? So I would say 3 to 4 times a day. It's a good number that would be able to fuel everybody to like mental level, a physical level, to their muscles, and make them stay active.
Well, thank you for the gift of getting coached up. Just as an intro, this is just the beginning of really understanding nutrition, really honoring our mind, our body, and our life. So here we go. To be continued. We're going to go in a bit more detail on our next podcast, all about really the athlete's well-being for nutrition and how to get ready for that peak performance. So, Kyle, thank you so much for the gift of just sharing your story. We're so grateful that you took on those challenges of your own life and turned them into a gift for us.
Absolutely, absolutely. In any way that I can help, that's what I'm here for. And thank you so much for having me, Carlette.
Well, team, it's up to you. Go out and win your nutrition. Make sure that you are for you and enjoy the challenge of being intentional about everything that you put into your mind, into your body, and into your life. Thank you.